Attention, everyone! Israel is facing a monumental crisis, and the last sign before the rapture has just appeared in Jerusalem. This shocking event has sent waves of concern rippling through the city and beyond. What could this sign mean for the future? Are we witnessing the beginning of the end? To understand the mystery and the gravity of the situation, let's dive into this video today. The rapture is a belief that when Jesus returns, all believers will be taken up to meet him in the air. This includes those who have died, whose bodies will be brought back to life, and those who are still alive, who will be transformed into glorified bodies. This teaching is clearly stated in 1 Thessalonians 4:15-17 and hinted at in 1 Corinthians 15:51-55 and John 14:2. Some other Bible passages like Matthew 24:31, 2 Thessalonians 1:10, and Revelation 14:14-16 also touch on this idea, but there's debate about their interpretation. But what purpose does the rapture serve in the overall purposes of God for creation? How does it fit into the big picture of God's redemptive plan? God's plan for redemption aims to restore what was lost due to Adam's sin. This includes bringing back the proper order of his rule in creation through humanity living in harmony with him. The resurrection of believers, as taught by Paul in Romans 8:18-23, is part of this restoration process. Thus, the rapture associated with the resurrection plays a role in this restoration. However, the scriptures also teach that before establishing Christ's messianic kingdom, God will pour his wrath on the world opposing his rule. The church is promised to be spared from this wrath, and the rapture is how believers are protected. According to the Bible, some believers, such as the 144,000 mentioned in Revelation 7:9 and 14, will experience God's wrath during this period. Others, like those Paul associates himself with in 1 Thessalonians 5:9, will be spared from this wrath through the rapture. This distinction among believers teaches us about the diversity within the family of God and his purposes for each believer. When discussing normative Christian experience, we're discussing whether God allows the church to suffer. There's debate over when the rapture will occur about the final tribulation, a time of intense persecution by the Antichrist. Some argue that God won't let the church suffer under the Antichrist. However, the Bible shows that the church does suffer in this present age. John 16:33, Acts 14:22. So what's the difference, if any? The pre-tribulation view suggests that God will rapture the church before the final 7 years of this age, known as the tribulation. According to this view, God's wrath marks this entire period. It hinges on distinguishing between Christ coming to rapture the church and his coming to return to reign on earth. On the other hand, post-tribulationism teaches that the church will be raptured at the very end of the age when Christ returns to reign. The church will be caught up to meet the Lord in the air and then immediately return to earth with him. The pre-wrath view suggests that God's wrath will be unleashed sometime in the last 3.5 years before the end of the age, following the onset of the final persecution by the Antichrist. The church will be raptured just before God's wrath is poured out. Similar to pre-tribulationism, this view distinguishes between Christ's coming to rapture the church and his final coming to earth. However, unlike pre-tribulationism, believers will endure the final persecution by the Antichrist before being raptured. Let's now know the various last rapture signs in Jerusalem. Reconstruction of the Third Temple. People are deeply passionate about building the Third Temple in Jerusalem, seeing it as more significant than the destroyed old temples. Even though it hasn't been constructed yet, it holds immense importance in Judaism, especially for Orthodox Jews who consider it the holiest place for worship. Since 1987, a group known as the Temple Movement has been diligently preparing for the construction of the Third Temple, slowly working towards this goal in the 21st century. While many in modern Israel and worldwide may not be very religious, Orthodox Jews take this matter seriously, regarding it as a spiritual duty and excluding non-religious individuals from involvement. They are the ones who revived the Sanhedrin, a religious group overseeing temple regulations, to ensure the proper rebuilding of the temple. For Orthodox Jews, rebuilding the temple is crucial as they believe it will improve the world. They firmly believe that the world can only experience improvement with the reconstruction of the temple. Gershon Salomon, a prominent figure leading the Temple Mount Faithful, is actively generating enthusiasm in Israel about rebuilding the temple. The group has organized protests at the temple site, created a special cornerstone for the third temple, and manufactured items necessary for the temple. According to Salomon, constructing the third temple is essential to rectify historical injustices for the people mentioned in the Bible who lived in the Holy Land. The Sanhedrin, responsible for temple affairs, is preparing for temple services by undertaking various activities, such as planting a special forest with plants needed for the third temple. Speaking on behalf of the Sanhedrin, Rabbi Hillel Weiss emphasizes that the temple served as a connection between the land and God. Contrary to common belief associating sacrifices with animals and blood, many sacrifices involve plants that grew in Israel. The discovery of an ancient temple beneath Temple Mount. Once, it was believed there was no temple on the Temple Mount site. However, a surprising discovery changed everything. In 1927, a powerful earthquake damaged the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem. The Muslim Waqf, led by Grand Mufti Haj Amin al-Husseini, allowed archaeological investigations on the usually restricted Temple Mount area to repair it. During the pre-state Israel's mandatory period, Robert Hamilton partnered with Muslim clerics to research where the mosque had collapsed. However, Hamilton faced limitations in his cooperation and avoided including findings that might upset the Muslim community. Nevertheless, many of his discoveries date back to periods before Muslim rule, including the Second Temple and Byzantine eras. These findings remained hidden for decades but are now emerging. Nearly 80 years later, Israeli archaeologist Dr. Gabi Barkai and Zaki Devira revisited Hamilton's concealed findings. They sifted through tons of earth removed from the Temple Mount about 13 years ago, uncovering countless small archaeological items that shed light on Jerusalem's history. Among the discoveries was a Jewish mikveh, a ritual purification pool from the Second Temple era, likely used by Jews before entering the temple grounds. Numerous small items from the First and Second Temple periods were also unearthed. Hamilton's findings included remains of a Byzantine mosaic beneath the damaged mosque's floor. Devira discovered mosaic stones, column fragments, and evidence of a Byzantine-era church, 324-638 CE, in the earth from the Temple Mount. These findings challenge previous beliefs, suggesting that the Temple Mount wasn't empty during the Byzantine era, but likely had structures, perhaps even churches. Arrival of red heifers. Recently, 5 special red heifers from a ranch in Texas made their way to Israel, stirring excitement, especially among those who believe in a prophecy about constructing the third temple in Jerusalem. Suppose these less-than-a-year-old heifers remain completely red and flawless. In that case, they can be used to produce ashes, which are crucial in Jewish law for purifying those who have been near a dead body, particularly important for future temple priests. Upon arrival, these unique heifers underwent a quarantine of at least 7 days in Haifa, following the rules of the Israel Veterinary Authority. Later, they will be relocated to 2 different locations in Israel, with one eventually open to the public. They will be nurtured until they reach 3 years of age, at which point they can be sacrificed, and their ashes produced by Jewish law. Bona Israel, an organization consisting of Jews and Christians, played a significant role in locating and transporting these heifers to Israel. Byron Stinson, a rancher from Texas collaborating with the organization, raised these special cattle. The heifers received a special welcome ceremony at Ben Gurion Airport, attended by officials from the Temple Institute and other notable individuals. The red heifer holds significance in the Bible, as its ashes purified the Israelites, as mentioned in Numbers 19. Many interpret the appearance of a red heifer today as a sign that the third temple will be built and Christ will return. According to rabbinical tradition, 9 red heifers were sacrificed since the time of Moses, but none after the destruction of the Second Temple. Rabbi Maimonides taught that the Messiah himself would sacrifice the 10th red heifer. The recent arrival of these 5 perfect red heifers from Texas to Israel is perceived by many as the fulfillment of prophecy and a significant step toward constructing a new temple. The regulations for a red heifer, as outlined in the Mosaic Law, are strict. It must be without defect or blemish and never worn a yoke, Numbers 19:2. The process of slaughtering a red heifer is described in Numbers 19:1-10. It involves purification from sin using the ashes of the red heifer. These instructions concerning the red heifer foreshadowed the sacrifice of Christ for the forgiveness of sins. Like the red heifer, Jesus was without blemish. Just as the red heifer was sacrificed outside the camp, Jesus was crucified outside Jerusalem. The red heifer's ashes, cleansing people from death contamination, parallel Christ's sacrifice, saving us from the penalty and corruption of sin and death. After the rebuilding of a pool of Siloam, a water libation ceremony took place. On October 12th, a special ceremony called the water libation occurred, reminiscent of an ancient temple tradition. Led by special priests known as Kohanim and Levites, accompanied by musical instruments, they followed the ancient paths from the old city of Jerusalem to Shiloh, also known as Siloam Springs. The parade included chanting, dancing, and the sound of silver trumpets. Carrying a golden jug filled with water from the Shiloh pool, they set up a model altar and tools on the summit of the mountain, continuing the ancient temple traditions. The ceremony concluded with the rare priestly blessing and the Hakel ceremony, which occurs once every 7 years. Though the Torah does not explicitly mention the water ceremony, it is considered part of Moses' oral teachings, celebrated joyously like a holiday. This ceremony lasted 15 hours in the Old Temple and continued with celebrations throughout the night until the next morning's temple service. Participants worldwide came together for Sukkot celebrations, making it a universal day of worship. During the last 6 days of Sukkot, a water ceremony and wine pouring took place during the morning service. Priests filled a flask with spring water and journeyed from the temple to the Shiloh spring at the base of Mount Moriah. 2 priests then poured wine and water into special holes in the stone altar in the temple's courtyard. The Shiloh pool, also known as Shalom in English and Silwan in Arabic, is biblically significant and was vividly revived after the construction of the Third Temple. Pilgrims once began their journey to Jerusalem at this pool for biblical feasts, cleansing themselves before offering sacrifices in the inner court of the Temple Mount. Discovered in 2004, ongoing exploration reveals its historical importance. According to the Babylonian Talmud, the year following the Shemitah, a special year, is considered auspicious for the Messiah's arrival. The prophecy in the book of Amos suggests the return of the tribe of Israel from other nations. The Talmud discusses the challenges before the Messiah comes, emphasizing the uncertain need for another physical temple. Instead, it suggests building a spiritual temple by leading a devoted life to God and preparing for potential end-time challenges. Appearance of UFO. On January 28, 2011, something strange happened in Israel. A person spotted an unusual sight in the sky, often called a UFO, or unidentified flying object. They saw a cluster of lights resembling a ball of light hanging in the sky. Finding it odd, the person quickly recorded it with a camera. The light descended closer to the rooftops for about 20 seconds and then shot back up into the sky almost as fast as the light itself. This unusual event happened directly over Jerusalem, right above the Dome of the Rock, also known as the Temple Mount, a place very important to Christians, Muslims, and Jews. Many events from religious stories are said to have happened there. Surprisingly, this UFO sighting wasn't a one-time thing. UFOs seem to visit Jerusalem quite often, with residents regularly reporting sightings of strange flying objects. This has become a yearly occurrence, leaving people puzzled about the mysterious activities in the city's skies. Moreover, in 2022, a U.S. drone spotted a strange flying object resembling a metal ball in the Middle East. However, not everyone sees these UFOs when they appear. Even if someone tries to film them, the videos often turn out blurry. Our phones seem unable to effectively capture objects in the sky. After videos of UFOs over the Dome of the Rock went viral, confusion about who filmed them arose. Stories about unidentified flying objects raise suspicions when the person behind the camera remains unknown. If someone truly saw something strange, they'd likely want to share it. The lack of information about the person filming has led to speculation. Some suggest one person may have made all the videos, casting doubt on their authenticity. But if this were true, at least one person who recorded the videos would probably have come forward by now. This mystery has left people wondering about the truth behind these sightings. It's not just the mystery of who filmed the videos. Nobody else seems to have seen these lights except those who recorded them. Despite the potentially thousands of people around, no one else reported seeing or recording these bright lights, adding to the peculiarity. In one video, a woman mentioned the light was so bright it hurt her eyes. But strangely, the light didn't reflect on the gold dome below it. This raises suspicions that someone may have added the UFO light to the video using computer manipulation. Creating a simple light effect is easier than fabricating an entire UFO, making it seem suspicious. The videos of the UFO over Jerusalem have sparked debates, with some believing they're real and others calling them fake. Those who believe don't provide more compelling reasons than those who doubt. In science, merely claiming something is wrong isn't enough. One needs a better explanation. Upon closer look, the supposed alien aircraft appears disproportionately small compared to the dome it hovers over. The UFO seems only about 15 feet long, which seems odd for a spacecraft supposedly traveling across the universe. Experts like Robert Schieffer, who extensively studied UFOs, assert that the videos are undoubtedly fake. Schieffer highlighted how the video was altered using computer tricks, such as simulated camera shaking, evident along the video's edges. This suggests the video underwent alterations using sophisticated computer software, raising doubts about its authenticity. Since the videos emerged, passionate arguments have ensued over their legitimacy. Some UFO believers defend them, insisting they're genuine. However, skeptics question the videos, prompting believers to provide more convincing evidence. The situation resembles a heated debate with differing perspectives but no compelling evidence. Adding irony, the UFO was reportedly seen in Jerusalem, where many UFO enthusiasts base their beliefs on faith rather than concrete evidence. This highlights the complexities of belief and evidence in discussions about UFO sightings. Occurrence of snakes. Despite its serene appearance, the Dome of the Rock witnessed an unexpected twist during prayer activities. Snakes emerged from beneath the temple, plunging the scene into chaos and fear among the worshippers. The juxtaposition of sacred rituals and this sudden intrusion of danger created a surreal atmosphere, leaving those in shock and alarm. The incident raises questions about the meaning behind this abnormal phenomenon. Snakes play a notable role in the Bible and Quran, possibly signifying a message from God. In these scriptures, the serpent is a universal symbol with diverse meanings, embodying death, destruction, and evil themes. It represents a legless essence that taps into primal fears and embodies the concept of poison, both literal and metaphorical. The significance of serpents in the Bible is explored. In Genesis 3, the serpent is identified as Satan, either appearing as a serpent, possessing it, or deceiving Adam and Eve into thinking it was the serpent speaking to them. This interpretation aligns with Revelation 12:9 and 20:22, both of which describe Satan as the ancient serpent, the devil or Satan, who leads the world astray. The serpent, laden with symbolism, holds a rich tapestry of meanings. While commonly associated with death, destruction, and malice, it also embodies positive attributes in various cultural and mythological contexts. In some traditions, the serpent symbolizes healing and rebirth, especially through the shedding of its skin, representing renewal, transformation, and the cyclical nature of life. Within Christian symbolism, the serpent plays a crucial role in the narrative of temptation and the fall in the Garden of Eden. However, paradoxically, in the teachings of Jesus and the prophesied return, the serpent's symbolism undergoes a profound shift. It becomes a metaphor for healing, redemption, and the promise of renewal, echoing themes of resurrection and spiritual rebirth in the Christian faith. In the context of the impending war between Jesus Christ and Satan, believers are called to active participation. They are urged to metaphorically eliminate hidden snakes under the holy shrine, symbolizing a collective effort to alleviate burdens and engage in spiritual warfare. This underscores the concept of shared responsibility in battling evil forces and portrays believers as essential participants in the divine struggle to triumph over darkness. Jesus Christ is depicted as the serpent crusher, who will ultimately defeat the forces of evil. When he establishes his reign, everything, including snakes, will be restored to a harmless state. This vision aligns with Isaiah 11:8-9, where peaceful coexistence is prophesied, symbolizing the restoration of harmony and the spread of divine knowledge. Jesus gives signs in the ancient city of Jerusalem and has also provided signs in other sacred sites, such as the Kaaba, a Muslim prayer place. The appearance of a gigantic snake during the Hajj pilgrimage in Mecca created fear and uncertainty among Muslim pilgrims. Jesus Christ conveyed a message of unity among Christianity, Islam, and Judaism through this event to face upcoming challenges. However, some Muslims disregarded the sign because they do not recognize Jesus as a god. For them, he is only a prophet. Jesus warned about the coming of the Antichrist, a figure opposite to him who would rule horribly before the final judgment. So what do you think of the big crisis in Israel? Comment below and subscribe for more.